I would say majority of advertisers, 90% of the ones that I work with, they're using Google and Meta. And sometimes they're only using one versus the other. Sometimes they have a reason for that. Sometimes there's not really a good reason. There's a good time when and how to use Google and Meta together. Everyone thinks you just instantly need to be spending money on both platforms in all areas of the funnel. But I'm here to tell you that truly depends on your business and truly depends on your market niche. For instance, if you were selling shoes that helped with sciatica, it would make sense to utilize Google Ads for much cheaper audience building by understanding and marketing to someone who's actually Googled shoes for sciatica and then remarketing to them on Meta or Facebook, where you have much more of an opportunity to reach them with a rich message. So Google tends to be the shortcut. Sometimes we get people their time of need, which is great. Google is literally utilizing people that are telling them what they're looking for. Now, higher priced items, someone typically needs three or four exposures to a brand. They're actively doing their own research. They need to be convinced in the emotional reasons of why they're choosing your brand over another. But ultimately, they're at least telling your business the information that they have that they're looking for solutions for. So if someone has actually Googled shoes for sciatica, you have an opportunity to tell them why you're different if they have not made a purchase already. And using Meta to do that is oftentimes more effective than using just Google or only Meta. Because Meta, you're trying to meet them at the time of need. I think back at college courses when I was going to college for marketing years ago. But there's something called a pull mechanism. A pull mechanism is someone actually going and seeking out information that they want. A push mechanism is when you're pushing messaging on someone that may need it or may not. So we're utilizing Meta in a way that we've already created site visitors for people that are actively looking for that solution. And while your audience might be smaller and your CPMs, if you're paying attention to that in 2025, you shouldn't, you should as a soft metric. For the most part, you shouldn't, but they're going to be higher because you are telling Meta you have a slightly smaller audience that you want it to go after, being your retargeting audience, and you will get effective results despite what Meta tells you not to do. So obviously, if you're niche or you need to use richer media like YouTube or Meta or TikTok, but Google Ads is crucial for most brands because why wouldn't you want your first brand exposure with a potential customer meeting them at the time of their need? They're literally telling people what they want. And if they aren't telling Google exactly what they want, they'll tell Google if they behave like people who eventually need those products or services. That's where a huge thing called an audience signal or an intent audience, where, let's face it, most people are logged into Google Chrome, and if they are, they're giving Google oodles of information about who they are, what they're likely next to purchase, because Google does have permission to read your Gmail, to look at your chats. If you're an Android user, you may give it permission to look at that. You may have a crossover between your computer and your phone, and Google's using all those information, all of that data to figure out who you are and what you're in market for. So people don't even need to search shoes anymore. Google is able to project whether or not they'll be looking for that down the road and kind of beat them there with advertisement based on, a text saying, "Oh, my foot hurts. I think I have plantar fasciitis or something." It's pretty crazy. So if you had two groups, and let's say you have two groups that you could possibly market to, and I told you that 80% of the people in group A were buying something and that only 20% of people in group B were buying. Where would you put most of your money? Seems obvious, right? But what if I told you unique characteristics that made up Group A that were in common with the people that were interested in purchasing in Group B? Now, Group B had way more of a potential for people buying, just a lot more limited people in that group. Would you risk marketing dollars talking to those people in Group B? I bet you would if you knew you can minimize and focus on those people that had the same qualities as the larger group in Group A. Basically, that's what intent-based or audience signal targeting can do in Google, even in Meta. If you're using Meta's broad signals, it will continue to learn whether or not you're spending money there. As long as you have your site with the Meta pixel on it, it will continue to learn a little bit more about your site visitors, even if they're not engaging on the Meta platform itself. Now, it's important to note it is very powerful with targeting on Meta. Uh, because it will learn a lot in just the meta ecosystem between Facebook and Instagram. It will know if you've engaged in a way that obviously Google won't know if someone watched your full reel, but you're able to at least go, hey, this person was exposed to my brand. They know who I am. So I'm able to remarket to them quickly and easier with probably less of a chance of losing that tracking just in the meta ecosystem. However, using Google Ads for top of funnel mechanisms to really hone in on people that are actively telling you that they need your product or service is a huge plus. A shorter CRO funnel is possible using the Adverlytx model, using our content blitz testing, and utilizing Advantage Plus or Performance Max to understand and automatically know which creative to serve them and when. You quickly learn the right marketing message and when in reverse it could help influence who you target. If you pair that with a free tool called Quantcast and ChatGPT, you're off to the races. The Adverlytx model teaches you that with our proprietary content blitz testing. We also use something called BrandBot, which you can get for free in the link below. We have our own proprietary dashboard that we use to report on metrics that are blended. And let's face it, it's hard to understand what you should be looking at and when you should be making decisions. Adverlytx uses what we call Convertalize. It's a dashboard that helps you understand exactly when to make a decision about a creative or a campaign and how effective it is. If you pair that with content blitz testing and what we call our ad brew method, you will make strides with your business and you don't have to pay an agency anymore to do what, well, let's face it, an AI is doing.